I'm David Liggett with Data Center Hawk, and I'm here with Aligned Energy CEO Andrew Schaap, and we're talking about the data center industry next. Andrew Schaap, thank you for being here. This is a highlight for me.
David.
I mean, we know that getting schedules to work out with, both of us, you in particular, was a challenge because you're busy, and but really excited to get to hear your perspective on the industry, where it is today. So thanks for being here.
Great. And David, this is a great forum. Obviously, we've been watching you from afar, I've known you for years. But delighted to be here.
Thank you. So we just talked about this, but you've now been at Aligned Energy as CEO for about 15 or 16 months. But before that, you were very active in the industry. Talk about your background in the space and what led you to take that role at Aligned.
Yeah, you bet. So early on in my career, I started in the software world. Myself and a partner started a software company, developed that to a point where we felt real comfortable that, got to know the ins and outs of software. We ended up selling that off to a system integrator. A system integrator based out of Chicago, Illinois. Spent a couple years with the system integrator, understanding the hardware systems, working through whether it's different platforms, HP, IBM, Cisco, EMC. The reality is that background set me up really nicely because at the end of the day, data centers are supports. They're the foundation for an application, software service, and hardware that sits on top of that. So having that background kind of enabled me to really appreciate what data centers did and how they intersected with what the tool sets are that customers were after. And then jumped into private equity early on, and then obviously spent quite a few years with Digital Realty. So was looking for a platform that kind of gave us some flexibility and some nimbleness. In my career, I've seen a couple of sea changes in the industry. How people bought, why people bought, what was happening on CapEx, OpEx, why decisions were being made. And the Aligned platform really made sense. So I made the move and been very, very pleased ever since.
So your comment about just several sea changes in the way that data center users have looked at the industry different. There's probably a small group of leaders in the space that have the background that you do in seeing those changes. But what have you think about data center users over the last 5 years, what have some of the changes that you've seen take place?
I think we'll even go back a little bit further than that. And I remember early on having meetings in either the Bay Area or in New York, and everything we did was pulling out a blueprint, looking at single lines, because there were a lot of folks were giving up one of their most critical jewels, which they used to build in their buildings and used to own and operate. And so having that, let's go through the single line, let's go through the blueprints, and kind of those days are done, right? It's now table stakes, operational reliability, physical security. Those things are established. Now it's a more, what can you do for us in the platform? How can you be more efficient? How can you be more effective? How can you future-proof my environment? When I have complete uncertainty, merger, acquisition, divestiture, when a client's trying to figure out what his density is going to look like in the future, when they're trying to figure out, they're trying to support the business and they don't know what the business is going to throw at them in the future, whether it's AI or IoT or some new acquisition that's going to be put on the CIO's desk that he has to solve. So the Aligned platform kind of provides us I view it as the bell curve, right? A lot of customers sit right in the middle of the bell curve, but there's a whole bunch of them on the outsides, really high density, really low density, lab environments. So the Aligned platform gives us some flexibility to kind of have a wider aperture of opportunities that we can target and win.
So when Aligned started, Dallas and Phoenix were the two markets that you had the initial footprints in. I think since then you've added Salt Lake as a market, and I think y'all are obviously moving forward with some exciting stuff out there. In the last week or two, I mean, you just announced that you all will be entering into Northern Virginia. And I was up there earlier in the week, and it's amazing the amount of activity that's taking place. But talk to us about why you felt like Northern Virginia was a market to go into, and then why right now.
Yeah, we're super fortunate. We found a really nice place right in the heart of Ashburn. Highly networked, very accessible, multiple paths and feeders in from a network perspective. and candidly gives us the flexibility to do a lot of unique things. And candidly, it's a campus. It's not a building, so it gives us the ability to again look at what clients are after, how we deploy our infrastructure, how we deploy our capital incrementally to kind of get really creative with opportunities and deals in that market. Obviously, it's no secret to anybody that Ashburn's kind of the heart of the internet. Since I came on board, that was something that was on my to-do list and my target list. And just very pleased with the outcome that we have there. And within the next 30 days, we'll be scratching dirt and bulldozers and making it happen.
So it's amazing, just to go out there and we talk about it, but I mean, until you have driven those roads and seen the sizes of some of the facilities today, and obviously what the data center user needs are there today, is just it's so different than any other market across the U.S. I mean, it's really in a whole different stratosphere. Okay, so earlier in the year as well, Macquarie Infrastructure Partners and you all announced a strategic investment. But talk to us about that and what that allows Align to do as you think about moving forward.
Sure. So when I came on, it was Blue Mountain Capital out of New York City, $23 billion fund out of New York. Very sophisticated group of folks. And then we decided to provide some diversification of our capital structure. So we ran a process and was incredibly fortunate to strike a relationship with the Macquarie infrastructure team. And that team, again, they're not a real estate-centric organization. It's Macquarie Infrastructure and Real Assets is the division we're a part of. And again, they couldn't be more pleased with the board members and the sophisticated capital is really important. We're in a capital-intensive business. We have to deploy capital that sometimes takes a while to get a return on investment. And the Macquarie team, they're used to that. They understand it very well. They've got a deep heritage of investments in infrastructure, and view us as a infrastructure play for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So a long-term investment cycle. Their investment horizons are very long-term. So just delighted with the sophistication. When you go through a process like this, it's another full-time job on top of a full-time job. But the board members are fantastic. Nothing but support all the way around. So just delighted with them being a foundational layer in our ability to grow and hit the objectives that we have for our long-range plan. Yeah, that makes sense. And it obviously allows you capital to expand. And one of the things you mentioned was future-proofing facilities. And I know that's been high on the importance chart for Align. But talk about what you mean by that and why that benefits the data center user today. Yeah. So, and great question. The way I think about the business is I really bucketize the business into three distinct elements, or three pillars that support our customers' requirements. Sophisticated capital is the first one, and we talked about that. Very sophisticated folks that know what they're doing. And have the ability to understand the uniquenesses of our industry and give us the ability to go out and attack the market in a way that makes sense. The second is infrastructure. Aligned has 30 plus patents and over 350 dependent claims around those patents. And that was what kind of attracted me to the Aligned platform. Is that technology and those patents give us some differentiation. It allows us to deliver our solution sets in a way that meet the client's requirements. Again, going back to the first question, which is, what's difference over the last 10 years? Well, difference over the last 10 years is a big financial services firm or a big Fortune 500 was looking for something, and they were perfectly happy to say, here's what I need for the next 10 years, and I have total visibility into that. Today, I think those days are gone. Now it's like, clients come in and they say, I want some flexibility in this. I want the ability to have nimble structures and not know what's going to happen in the future, not know what my densities are going to look like, not know if I'm going to get something else thrown on my table that I've got to solve through my data center provider. So it's really important that folks choose and look at, of all the platforms that are out there, a platform that has flexibility is key. And so our IP is one of the things that gives us some really unique differentiators on how we deliver those solutions to clients. We've been real fortunate we've got some great customers that are really sophisticated and love the fact that they can kind of come on board with our platform and grow with us when they have uncertainty on what they're going to do in the future too. I mean, I think it was yesterday, I was talking to some data center industry professionals, and I was saying how being a data center user is terribly challenging just because of
the things that you make decisions off of, by the time those are actually being put into play, things have changed and could change down the road. So I think flexibility seems to be more important than ever in the data center user mindset, so that makes a lot of sense. One of the other things that you all talk about is your ability to scale vertically and horizontally. I think that ties into the flexibility angle, but talk about that and the importance there.
Yeah, so a lot of the patents we have around our heating and heat rejection technology and the way we actually cool the environment, it's quite a bit different than what's happening in the environment.
Okay.
It's different, meaning we've got the ability to scale in place. And scale in place means, traditional folks will take a footprint and have the ability to deliver a client into that footprint. And then when you need more capacity, you've got to take an additional footprint.
Yeah.
Which means more low voltage cabling, more high voltage cabling, more racks, more stacking, more just more capital that's being deployed by clients.
Yes.
We've got the ability to scale in place. So a customer can come in and land with us at 150, 250 watts a square foot. And in 2 years, they can say, hey, I need more capacity in the same footprint. New chipsets that are coming out, new AI technology that's coming out. All the clients are becoming more and more sophisticated with the way they deploy their IT infrastructure.
Yes.
So again, our heat rejection technology gives us the ability to kind of basically put more load in the same footprint and give the client the ability to grow within the same footprint. Again, it really helps with their TCO and as they're looking at their total cost of ownership and how they're looking at their long range plan.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then, so I feel like when I started in this space, and you probably saw me 2 days after I started in the space 10 or 11 years ago, but I think data center providers and operators would talk about how their facilities and solutions offered high dense environments. And then if you ask them at the time, okay, who's using, that density? No one. I mean, there was just not a lot of users at the time that were, taking more than 5 kW, 8 kW rack. I think that's changed today. And I think that, as you talked about the data center user getting smarter and more mature, I definitely think that's on the, their mindset. So how do you feel like what y'all are doing sets them up to really be successful, from a density perspective? Obviously, it ties back into that scalability perspective, but what are some other things from a cooling standpoint y'all have done to put them in a position to be successful?
Yeah, look, I think it comes down to the way we're doing it is what I'd call it's elegant. It's an elegant solution. We've got less moving parts in our heat mechanical system than other traditional solutions. And less moving parts means less breakage, less operational expenses, fans, belts, all those things we've taken out of the kind of topology. We've created a much wider delta T in our heat rejection system. Not to get too technical, but that delta T creates a really nice environment where, again, we've got a much wider band of what we can do.
Yes.
So our pipe sizing is smaller, our facilities, what they can do is smaller. But the reality is I mean, although it looks like we're in a barn, we're in the heart of Dallas, Texas. We've got and on the 20th floor of your beautiful building here. We've got clients here in Dallas that are running at 30, 40, 50 kW a rack. And that's unheard of. We used to hear about densities of of clients trying to run those densities, and the reality is everyone would still hover around 6 to 10 to 12 kW per rack. We're now seeing real customers that are enterprises trying to get to those densities, 30, 40, 50 kW per rack. And we're doing it here in our Plano facility, our Phoenix facility, our Salt Lake facility, and soon to be our Ashburn facility. And that elegant solution, again, I kind of say it's elegant versus exotic. Exotic should be AKA expensive.
Sure.
Piping, we don't have any piping inside the data hall. We don't have all the exotic piping that has to be run to racks and cabinets. All that stuff has been removed from our platform. So it's we never have to walk inside of the footprint to upgrade the footprint. So it's all done external to the facility. It's blind to the customers. They never see it. They just say they needed more capacity. It's pretty easy for us to deliver it on demand capacity. Right?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, future-proofing is a word that people abuse. Maybe. Right. Everybody uses it, and we're really trying to do it, and we're really trying to do it in a meaningful way that makes sense for the clients.
So the industry obviously is focused on power and how important power is, power delivery. One of the other areas that's really important for our industry is water. And I don't think obviously the industry is as focused on that, but you can make more power, can't make more water. So I know that's on the on y'all's mindset on how to conserve water and kind of, maybe be a leader in that, but talk about why that's important to Align.
Yeah, we talk about it. We're trying to raise that level of awareness. Yeah. By the way, it's a top of mind for the very sophisticated users. Yes. They're thinking about it all the time. Again, some of the patents that we have around our technology kind of enable us to have a zero water utilization or a low water utilization. Yep. And the reason I kind of bifurcate is we can use water if need be in certain markets where water is abundant.
Right.
But here's the reality is I've got a 39.5-year depreciable asset. I'm deploying infrastructure that's 10, 20-year depreciable assets, and you're signing contracts with clients that are going to move in for 3, 5, 10, 15 years, sure. And they don't want to move.
Yep.
So how do you have visibility into what regulation is going to be, legislation is going to be, are we going to enter a drought? And if we are, does that mean we turn off that water feature sure. and go completely waterless?
Yeah.
And so we've got some of that flexibility inside of our infrastructure. And so it creates this nice environment where I can elect to use water to drive down that PUE efficiency even more, or turn off the water if in fact government regulations take hold or something happens with the environment. And again, long-term contracts, nobody has a perfect view on what's going to happen with weather and whether in Dallas, for example, whether Lake Mead is going to be full or empty at the time. So we got to be sensitive to those elements.
Yeah. You have sat in, meetings with Fortune 500 companies and seen the way that they, different industry verticals, financial, technology, healthcare, seen the way they approach their, importance of data center design. And, back 10 years ago when you were working with another company and where you are now, have you seen the design change? And specifically around, we talked about power density some, but floor plates, how much power is being delivered to that? I mean, just how has the design and where is it today and what you're seeing data center users really want?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting the way it's changing. Folks are still interested in what I'd call the table stakes. Highly secure environment, both physically and logically. Resiliency at a level that they require, and the reason N+1, 2, or N, it depends on the client, depends on the requirement, it depends on the application set. So that's key, and then obviously heat rejection and flexibility around that is absolutely key. So you've got to have, table stakes are operational reliability, fantastic teams, ability to execute, but then when it comes to design, every client comes and has a little bit different flavor, and so the reality is you don't want to say every deal is a snowflake, but they sometimes are. So you've got to have the adaptive and efficient infrastructure to meet those requirements.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Align team and some of the things that they've really invested in early on before me coming on board, and now we're just accelerating that flexibility and nimbleness of what we can provide.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I think now more than ever, the data center operator community has to figure out ways to attract, the different snowflakes and, like enterprise demand and what that is today, and also have the ability to provide scalability to very large users. And that's a whole new part of the market that we weren't seeing that 5 years ago, the way that some of this demand is on the larger scale. How do you anticipate future technologies? So I've heard you talk on like AI, autonomous driving, those type of things before, but love your take on, someone that's been in the industry a long time. How will that impact the data center industry as a whole?
Yeah, so
crystal ball here.
Yeah. This is one of those. Yeah, everybody's, no matter what anybody's answer is going to be wrong. Right? And no
Let's just establish that.
No slight on anybody else who sat in this chair, but
the
reality is it's changing so fast. There's some there's some futurists out there that have great thoughts and feedback, but if you go back and read stuff that was written 10 years ago, there's very few of those that actually came to pass and to fruition. The one thing that is true is everything's becoming more connected. Every one of our, there's more devices in my house that are connected today, I hesitate to think how many gigabits are being run through my home
Schaap
network, with my children and iPads and phones and things like that, and streaming video and watching the Cowboys when I want to watch the Cowboys versus when it's actually on.
Sure.
So all those things are happening, but it's moving from primarily people-to-people interaction on the internet to people to machine and machine to machine.
Yeah.
And that machine to machine is where the real growth is, right? When all these things start really taking hold, you've seen some changes with some really large network companies getting out of the data center sector, trying to make sure they've got their network shored up for this onslaught of 5G.
Yeah.
And 5G is going to change a lot.
Yep.
It's going to change a lot about how people use things, but it's also going to change the way coders and application writers are going to write scripts on how to solve problems, and more is going to get pushed through the network. And so I'm real excited about that. But on the data center side, let's bubble it down to the standards. We're building buildings out of concrete, steel,
Sure.
right, and glass. And that's that you can only add that much. You can only add a little bit of efficiency and nimbleness
Sure.
to that. It's construction. It's been around for hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And so now it's all about how do you build the most flexibility into your infrastructure, so that when a client shows up, when a requirement shows up, the requirement that they have today may change in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 15 years.
Yeah.
It's just really key that providers like ourselves are thinking. It's one thing to solve the problem that's in front of you. How to solve a problem that's around the curve.
Yes.
When you don't know what's coming down the path.
Yeah, that's good. Where do you feel like the biggest challenges are, to the industry as a whole, knowing that it's going to change, as you just talked about? But if you think about the next 3 to 5 years, like from your perspective, where do you feel like the biggest challenges are?
Yeah, so walking into the office this morning, CNBC had on what the challenge was: is are we out of labor? Right? The labor unemployment rate is incredibly low.
Yeah.
In our industry, labor is tough to get.
Yeah.
So I think about, again, this goes back to my 3 pillars, and the third pillar is really team. So fantastic capital partners, fantastic infrastructure, and the intellectual property that's wrapped around that infrastructure. And then really it comes down to the people, the team that's running the sites.
Yeah.
People always make things work. You've got to have the people that go the extra mile. Yeah. And so when I think about the challenges we face, it's primarily around people. I feel really pleased about capital structure. We're incredibly pleased with where we're at.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, I think we've got a really nice competitive advantage, moat, however you want to describe it, to expand the aperture of opportunities that we can win for those snowflake opportunities.
Yeah.
And then really it comes down to the people. And I incredibly blessed with the team that we have at Aligned, continuing to add key capabilities and functionality on that team. But really it's all thanks to the Aligned team that we're having great success, and the people that we have really care. From the board members all the way through everybody in our organization. One of the things that I say to my leadership team all the time is, best idea wins, no matter what, inside of our organization. So we have a very fluid leadership team that we best idea wins is kind of my mantra inside of our organization.
That's good.
And I don't care where it comes from.
Yeah, that's good. So I don't know if you've run any more Spartan races, but the only one I've ever run or done was with you as a teammate, and we finished, which
we did finish.
Which was great. I'll take it. Hey, so I did want to ask, just one of the things that we've talked about with leaders in the industry is just their leadership. You talked about kind of your thoughts on your leadership team and some of the things you're communicating to them. But when you look back at your time in the industry, from a leadership standpoint, who has made a difference in your world, or what has helped shape your mindset where it is today as you lead, Aligned into kind of a new opportunity set as you expand into different markets, get more capital, approach different users? But how do you feel like your leadership has been shaped to be the leader of the company that you need to be to take them to the next level?
Yeah, I think it goes to like that theory of leadership that I have, which is best idea wins.
Yeah.
And happy to steal a great idea from anybody who has it inside of our organization. And so the way I think about our team and how I'm hiring and recruiting and bringing in top talent, it really is spawned from, and again, continuous learning of listening to some of my mentors that I've had over the years that give us great feedback on what's happening, how to be nimble, how to be flexible. I think in particular about one gentleman who happens to be an executive at AT&T. Spent a lot of time with him early on in my career. Happened to be retired from AT&T now, but sat in the C-suite of AT&T. And that, having those type of people surround you and give you good feedback is just vital.
Yeah.
So myself and several of the other executives in Dallas-Fort Worth, we're absolute competitive on the competitive battlefield.
Yep.
But when we get together, we talk about things that we're doing and how we're accomplishing goals. Again, not breaking confidentiality
Sure.
or intellectual
Yeah,
property,
yeah.
but it's great to get that good feedback from industry veterans.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of respect for those that have been in the industry a while, and it is and it still is a young industry, but it is so important to the way that our world works. And I think those that are neck deep in this space recognize that, but most others out there, it's almost invisible.
Yeah, and it never stops.
Yeah.
Last week I interviewed Kareem Youssef, who runs a big chunk of AI over at IBM. And now he's added to my, I'd call it portfolio of great people that I can call on and ask for what they see is going on in the industry. And Kareem, very sophisticated individual. If you see the interview on at DCAC, outstanding, thought process on things like he's truly looking around the curve. He's looking 5-10 years away, and how AI is going to help cure cancer, how AI is going to make lives better, how AI is going to make the Dallas Tollway run smoother.
Please.
Exactly. So those are the kind of things that you're never done learning. I learn from my clients every day. I love sitting with them and trying to figure out what are they what problems are they trying to solve, not today, but in 5 years from now, and things like that. So having that continual learning mindset is incredibly important.
Yeah. Well, congrats on y'all's success so far. Excited to see where Aligned will go in the future, and it'll be fun to watch you lead them there. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.